everybody. Welcome back to a very special episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. We are here with Dustin Rosenberg and Jonathan Yu, owners of Convoy. And guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having us on.
So, for all of our listeners, listen up. So, these two gentlemen are number 29 on the Scotsman's Guide. And if you look at the broker statistics, they are number six in the nation and have achieved that in a 2 year time period, which is just a meteoric rise and absolutely incredible. So, gentlemen, I am very much looking forward to our conversation together today. And congratulations on the success.
Thank you so much.
So, give us a little bit of a background. Obviously, you've been around mortgages longer than 2 years. How did you guys get started? How did the partnership come about? Give us just like the history behind you guys and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so we actually both worked for the same mortgage company down in San Diego for about 9, 10 years. And then we just decided that we wanted to be, our own boss for once, change that type of, scale, if you will. And we started Convoy at the beginning of 2021. So it's been about 2.5 years. But we have an office in Los Angeles. That's our headquarters. We also have an office in San Diego as well.
That is amazing. Now, why did you choose the broker channel rather than going out and potentially taking another route?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when we started Convoy, when before we came on, we were mostly doing conforming FHA, conventional FHA VA loans, and there's nothing wrong with those types of loans, but we wanted to be able to create our name in a niche that was more investor specific and product based. So obviously, right now we saw the market kind of turning a little bit, where we understood and realized that if we do not get in the forefront of the products and having the know-how of all the different products that are going to come out and are going to be used, we will lose to everyone else, right? So our main focus when we started Convoy was, look, we want to focus on the underappreciated niche, which was investors, investor real estate, and also just overall creative financing solutions. And being in the broker channel allows us to have that flexibility to do all those things without having, let's say, for example, being in a retail channel where you only have one line of source of funding that you can tap into versus broker channel where you can literally work with anyone that's willing to lend you money, right? So we just wanted that flexibility. We wanted the product base to be able to service the most amount of clients as possible.
Fantastic choice. Now, why did you focus on investors? I mean, having a great run, 10 years of experience in one niche of the business and then going out into a different one. What was behind that decision?
Yeah, we kind of saw the writing on the wall, and we knew that the 2, 3% refi boom that was obviously apparent for the last 4 or 5 years, wasn't always going to continue. And during our times at our previous employer, we had a lot of clients that, were looking to purchase investment properties. But for those that have experienced it, whether you're on the loan officer side or the client side, getting an investment property and getting financed, just be able to purchase or refinance an investment property through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac on a conventional loan is very difficult to say the least, right? And once you actually break into the investor community, most of them either can't qualify going conventional or don't want to deal with it going conventional, right? So the other option really is, doing non-QM type loans, whether they be a DSCR loan, a bank statement loan, an asset-based loan, portfolio, cross-collateralization, all of those that Fannie and Freddie won't touch that are very popular, in the investor community.
That's amazing. So how did you start out with approaching the marketplace? How did you approach marketing and going in to find those customers?
Well, I think a big part of ours is obviously Convoy when we started had zero reach, right? We started it from scratch, right? I think the main thing was always like, what is Convoy? Who is Convoy? Right. In order to start out, what we really did is we aggressively marketed to, kind of just realtors in general, investment real estate agents in general. And
Okay.
then also, we did a lot of, to start, we did a lot of online social media marketing. We did a lot of outreach to different communities, investor communities, to kind of get our name out there. And then also we just try to make ourselves as available as possible because no one in the industry had enough know-how about the investment real estate knowledge, right? So nobody really knew how to process them. Nobody really knew how to work them, what it meant, what the need of the investor was. So we just really spent a lot of time in our beginning to study and understand really how to make deals happen. And that's kind of like that has been our approach to kind of jump up and get our name out there because everyone started saying, oh, well, if you work with Convoy, Convoy actually knows what they're doing with these investment properties instead of, these other potential schmucks out there that are telling things are possible when they're not really possible. Right. So I think just outreach to agents that really sold them on kind of bringing more business over because they want to tap into that underserved community as well. Right. They just haven't been able to. And in this market right now that we're in, where conventional FHA, VA, I mean, rates are kind of higher, primary residences, DTI, all becomes kind of an issue, and they can't qualify as well. This is a great opportunity for investment real estate agents to kind of tap into that market. And, we provided that kind of value to allow them to tap in and break into a market that was previously kind of underserved and under kind of not approachable. If, it's to put it easy.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And so again, absolutely astronomical growth in your mortgage company in an incredibly short period of time. So you guys threw a lot at the wall. Social media, networking with realtors, I'm sure many other marketing strategies that you threw out there. Where did you really find your fit for the channel, not only that worked, but that brought the business that you liked and the customer that came along with it? Like who do you really help?
So, I mean, kind of a two-phase question I'll try to answer, right? I think we initially got, we're based in Los Angeles, or our headquarters were, and when we started, it was just me and John, right? Eventually we got to five, but we started targeting real estate brokerages that specifically work on finding investment properties for clients, right? Like they
Okay.
don't do first time home buyer, like that's just not their agent's cup of tea, right? They're always out in the marketplace, whether it be 2 to 4 units, sometimes more than 4 units. But we wanted to make relationships with those types of brokerages because they were obviously serving the same types of clients that we wanted to service. And it's kind of like a wildfire in a good way and can be a bad way too, where you do one good deal, that agent likes you, right? That gets shared with the next time they have a client or the next agent that they're working with. But the same goes with, if you have a bad experience or you deliver a bad experience. So you've got to be really, cautious of when you're working with realtors that they may not be as, let's say, apprehensive to pitfalls during the loan process as maybe somebody that is doing or might be the client or doing like a refi for a primary residence, right? There's a lot more time frames that you've got to kind of adhere to or meet, such as like a 1031. That deadline is a hard deadline. You don't
Yep.
really have, the flexibility like we did 3 years ago when you're doing a cash out refi on somebody's primary to, kick the can down the road just for another week. So to answer it, I mean, I think we found our footing really just locally here in Los Angeles with brokerages in Los Angeles, that focused on investment real estate and then just kind of spread the, naturally or organically that way.
That is amazing. And then those brokers that you're working with, who is your ideal customer? Who do you really love working with as far as the real estate investor themselves, the deal structure and type that you look for?
So I mean, we service everyone, right? We don't really discriminate, especially on the investor side, because real estate, and we truly believe in real estate investing, right? So that's also another thing too. I think that speaks loudly to our clients is we are active real estate investors, along with being kind of the ones providing the guidance. So our audience and our target is more, I mean, we love new investors, we love seasoned investors that have only done things a certain way. And then we're able to kind of open up their minds a little bit to be like, hey, if you actually expanded and probably took it this way, it might actually yield you a better result than the route that you've been going, right? So it's, I think that's kind of our target. It's, we don't really have a specific person, but kind of overall the investor in general that's even trying to break in with maybe wants to find out how they can buy an investment property with 10% down, right? Then we can kind of walk with them, hey, the way that you can do that, you can do a first with a seller carried second, and then you can bring in 10 and, do all that and kind of push people in the way that of expanding their minds to allow them to acquire real estate, because we truly believe in the power of real estate, right? So we kind of pass that passion along. And because of that, the clientele that we deal with, whether they're seasoned or new, right, we kind of welcome them all with open arms.
That's fantastic. And are you guys expanding now outside of the LA market? How are you approaching expansion for the company?
Yeah, I mean, so a year in, we only had the LA office. Now we've got a San Diego office as well. So we've got two, commercial office spaces, and we're looking at, Arizona and then Tennessee as we speak. But we're constantly recruiting, and that's another thing that, the loan officer role, that if you decide to open up your own shop, being the actual a broker owner is something you've always got to be doing. Just like you've always got to be rebuilding your pipeline, you've always got to be looking to expand or grow. Now, most companies, we're obviously in the last year and a half, 2 years, we're contracting, and we always like to say it on our other podcasts that we were expanding, right? Because we knew that the market share was important to us, not only from just having people on our team, but being able to expand, Convoy's outreach across the country.
And so are you actively reaching out to real estate agents in other states looking for that perfect fit of that realtor that's only working with investors?
I think real estate agents and clients in general, because we operate in LA and San Diego, but our reach in terms of being able to service investment real estate is all 50 states. So we have found the ability to service clients in every single state, no matter what their situation, and sometimes in other countries. We've had development projects and investment projects in South America, and I think we did one in like Hong Kong. There's all these different things that we can tap into that we have access to just because of our kind of reputation and our abilities now. But so our reach is kind of within the whole nation, and then in some places internationally. So yeah.
That is incredible. Now, another aspect of growth that I'm very interested in, because I think it's a fantastic opportunity for you guys, is the influencer market. There are tremendous footprints online with brands like Bigger Pockets and individuals on TikTok and all of these different platforms that have huge audiences of people that are very interested in real estate, cash flow, the Burr method, all of this wonderful stuff. So, are you guys, being young, seasoned, very intelligent at what it is that you do, are you going out and using media as a way to go out and get clients and customers and trying to go direct to consumer?
Yeah, we actually, about when we first started, we've had, our Instagram and Facebook page, and, Twitter, I think, but we don't really use Twitter. We've had those for a while, but there's a difference between, just posting on Instagram and posting on Facebook, like deals you've closed, versus making reels and informational videos that are targeted to be direct to consumer, right? And maybe I'm the one to blame because we didn't start it sooner, but we did just start probably maybe 2 months ago, kind of actively making 2 or 3 videos a week. And eventually we want to get to like, making a video every day that can be targeted to the consumer, just whether it be something very simple, how to get a pre-approval, or how do you do a 1031, or, things of that nature.
Yeah. And I think the way that you guys have done it is excellent. And I think for all of our listeners here in the mortgage industry, I think it's incredibly important to be the expert, to really know the guidelines, to really know the ins and outs of the mortgage business, and then teach not only going through the process, but teach what you've learned through the process. So seeing you guys build the media arm of Convoy is very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to that. One thing that I will share for our listeners, but also for you guys, we've seen a tremendous response by partnership through social media. And for a local loan officer or broker in a local marketplace, find the person who's talking about real estate investment in your local marketplace. There are lots of local media channels that are running radio shows and that sort of thing that have a segment about real estate or about finance. There are all kinds of influencers in the real estate market. And I think for you guys specifically, there's a lot of influencers on social media specifically talking about real estate investing. I think maybe more so than just your average real estate agent who's trying to make social media work because the audience is there and open to that education. So everybody should be, what I see in the mortgage industry is everybody's looking at how do I create content? How do I do my videos and put that out there? When it's very difficult to get the algorithm to pick up that content and get you the reach and exposure. Where if you go and interview a real estate agent who's already got an audience, or interview or get featured on a podcast or a channel, it's a great way to expand out into their audience, but also take that and use that for your shorts and all of that content out there as well. I think there's a tremendous, you know, nationwide opportunity for you guys in that media channel as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I will say in terms of sharing wise, for people that are trying to get into it is, make sure you know what you're talking about because the internet is clever, right? So if you say something that's incorrect or you don't know actually what you're talking about or you have no track record, right? Then it's going to be very easy to also, on the flip side, ruin yourself by
Yep.
going out there and putting yourself out there, right? So there's two sides to every coin, but I think the reason why it really worked well for us is because we had that track record. If you go to our Instagram page, it's, I think Convoy_Home Loans. You'll see like us, and these are active deals that Dustin and I are doing.
Yeah.
You'll see the deals that we put together and the way that we're presenting them, and then that allows people to really have that confidence, right? That hey, okay, these guys are actually not just influencers per se, but they're also closing deals and they understand how these deals work, right? So my encouragement before maybe even jumping into, being an influencer is, make sure you can actually close these things first, right? Make sure you can actually put these deals together and you know how the process works because, fame is great and everything, but we've seen a lot of influencers rise and fall because they went out there on what's hot without being able to back anything up, right? So that's a little disclaimer that I have to put out there just because I've seen it happen so many times. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And with you guys successfully closing deals and having the experience that you've got in the industry, are you guys also looking at communities? Like I'm thinking of like the real estate investment clubs out there and that sort of thing, looking to partner with those types of organizations as well?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to get our name out there too. We've both, kind of hosted quote unquote by sponsoring or paying for, let's just say, food and beverage, right, for a local meetup, down the street or even an hour away or sometimes 2 hours away, and having our, San Diego office go there because there's only so much of a connection that you can make online, staring at a phone, looking at a reel versus a handshake and a quick 5-10 minute talk exchanging your cell phone numbers or work numbers with somebody in person, right? So I really love those meetups. I think there's a bunch everywhere. There's like I forget what the website's name is, but in like Southern California, they have a list of all real estate investor meetups pretty much every other day. Some location in Southern California that if you're in the area, and you're in the loan officer industry or even the real estate agent industry, it's a great way to get your name out there and you never know what'll come from it.
Yeah, that is so true. Now, switching gears quickly, and I want to be cognizant of your time. But you guys have done a phenomenal job on the actual business side of things. But talk to me about the growth of Convoy. A second office within 2 years, recruiting people into the organization. What's been your growth strategy on that side of things, and how do you approach growth?
Well, I think for us, I mean, obviously, we're in a market where a lot of people are shrinking, right? So now there's a plethora of people out there looking for new opportunities, right? I think we get hundreds of loan officers and other, even broker owners reaching out to us, hey, how do we do what you're doing? And kind of give me the steps. And every time, unfortunately, if you ask me or Dustin or one of our people, hey, can you tell us the secrets on how you're doing it? We're not going to tell you the secrets on how we're doing what we're doing, right? Because it doesn't make sense from a business model perspective. So we have hundreds of people reaching out to us daily. So growth wise is always, people are always looking to join us, right? But what we focus on mostly is the quality of the person, because Dustin and I spent a lot of time and energy really creating a brand around Convoy, right? To make it our goal is to be kind of a premium, more of a consultant, right? A person that walks beside our clients and allows them to kind of build that relationship and know that they can trust us to give them the right advice. So, what we really look for in terms of expansion and what's really worked well for us is bringing on people that we know or that reach out to us that we feel has that kind of track record, has the ability to really carry out the brand that we've created. And I think that's kind of been our growth strategy, right? So, we're not trying to just hire every single body out there because they can actually do more harm to your brand than they can good, right? So for us, we'd rather have one good quality person that does 10 loans a month instead of 10 people doing one loan a month, right? So for us, that's kind of been our growth strategy and it's worked really well for us thus far. And obviously, because of that, I feel like a little bit of that premium sense also attracts even more people to want to join. So it allows us to really be able to filter through more talent and be able to grow in a more sustainable way just because of that aspect, what we look for.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Well, gentlemen, thank you for being so generous with your time and your knowledge here today. If there are people in the mortgage industry listening to this podcast and they want more information and they want to reach out, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you and to start that process?
Yeah, go to convoyhomeloans.com and just let us know where you came from. Give us a little bit of background and we'll have someone reach out.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being on the show. And again, congratulations on the incredible success so far.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Chris.
thanks, Chris.